All right, let's do a brief audio and visual check. How is everybody? Wait for the replies while I get a few things set up here. Audio's good, visual's good, everything's working out perfectly. Oh man, that's a first. That's not a first, but told you, it's still one of the better things when everything works and runs smoothly to start off the week. Sounds good. How was everyone's weekend? Do anything crazy? Finally relax instead of stress about trading? Where do we short? I mean, this market's pretty bullish and really bullish. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't be looking for a short. Let's just get through it. But anyway, let's get started. It's a shortened class. Sunday nights, I only do 1 hour. Yeah. I mean, we had Nick for a tick earlier. One of the best, and yeah, let's just get started. Yeah, go Packers. Watching some football. Obviously, it's Sunday here in the United States, watching some NFL football. But let's get going. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Slow Markets. I'm Coach Dakota, Coach TBA. As always, there is the Topstep risk disclosure in the YouTube chat. Now, let's get to these markets. New week. It's a shortened week. It's a very shortened week, as you guys know and are fully aware that you get that email. And as you should be, maybe 3 days worth of good volatility, maybe even 2. It might be very choppy. I don't know. Sometimes it's best to just take the week off, to be honest. Where, let's see, we did gap up. I mean, this is a decent gap on the NASDAQ. And this is NASDAQ daily chart where I'm going to just expand this out. We'll talk about it on the smaller time frame. But I always start off with a daily chart first. And yeah, we gapped up. We are already at 20,966, 20,960s. And, that major sell-off, it's always unfortunate for the Bears, right? Pun fully intended, that every single time they, show any sign of strength, it just keeps, getting bought up. I mean, you can see what happened every single one of these dips. Anytime one of these, decent pullbacks have been beautiful buying opportunities. Nothing new. I mean, it really is not. I mean, every single time we have a sell-off, I kind of say the same thing. I'm like, in a week from now, we're going to look back and say this would be a beautiful buying opportunity. Same thing. We had that major sell-off. You have everybody going on social media, everyone going crazy and saying, man, the top is in. We're at double top. There's no Santa rally, and the sky is falling. And then sure enough, 1 week later, we are, right back up. And, who knows? Maybe by the end of the week, we're hitting all-time highs again. It's just the reality of the NASDAQ. It's the reality of, equity markets, indices, in general, beautiful buying the dip opportunities. It's the buy the dip market. We're in a trending market, and as of right now, there's nothing that really has changed. It's not. And we had some consolidation here for a little bit, a lot of volatility last week, but to start this week out, so far so good. We could easily, see continuation to the north side. We do have a gap, and so. Are we going to fill this gap? I wouldn't be surprised if we did, right? Like, this is a pretty sizable gap here on the daily chart. However, if we look, remember, we always say, do gaps get filled? Well, you could say the majority of the time, sure, gaps can get filled. But take a look at this one. There was one here on October 31st. It took a while for it to get filled. So it might not even get filled today. We might not ever get filled. I'm maybe 100% of it won't get filled. I'm not sure. I'm a bit cautious when trading just because that there's a gap and trading in the direction of the gap, because I'm sure when we open, there's a lot of traders who were selling this market that was thinking that the gap is going to get filled. And yet here we are continuing to push these session highs. So the next level that I could see us getting to is maybe to the bottom of, where this support was. This was support, back in the middle of November, 8th, like 11th, 12th, and 13th. So maybe we could rally. Maybe we could test that big psychological number of 21,000. And, still from a technical standpoint, everything is to the right of this crazy sell-off on the, November 15th. We're still haven't broke the high of November 15th. We might be seeing that tonight. And so if we zoom into an hourly chart, it's the same thing. I've been saying this ever since we've sold off, right? We've been in this channel and nothing's changed, really. Nothing really has, where it's buy the lows. Maybe every single time we have a sell-off and a rally, guess what? Sometimes it takes a little bit longer than expected. When we made this low, sure enough, guess what? We now made a new high, and higher lows, higher highs. Nothing new, nothing crazy in this market. It's simple, straightforward. We did have that gap. You can see that the next maybe area of resistance is going to be maybe right here around 21,000. 21,000 is a big psychological number. Just looking at this, looking for any area of resistance. And yeah, 20,000, 20,000, 20,000, 20s. Maybe we could come up and rally to see if we could see these 21,050s and find some type of area of resistance. Until then, I don't see anything really stopping this market from a major standpoint. Maybe, last time we had a rally, there was a little bit of resistance here at the 20,960s. That's kind of stretching it. That's kind of just looking for a reason instead of just like, hey, the market's going up. We broke through, we broke out, we're rallying, we gapped up, and this thing's not turning around yet. If we zoom into a 5-minute chart and we look at what the market was doing when we sold off, right? This major, the ugly sell-off, I think it was a Friday. And where are we at? We still have a ways to go till we get to the 21,000. Nothing's in the market's way. It's very hard to short this market. It's tough to short it. Why short it? There's no reason to short it unless we get some type of reversal here on a smaller time frame, where maybe we do look for a pullback. Are we going to get a pullback all the way? We're almost at 100 points. We're almost at 100 points for a gap up. I'm sure there's a lot of traders who were waiting for a pullback who shorted this market. Did anybody short this market? Who is shorting here? That's going to be the question, is who is shorting looking for a gap fill. Probably got caught off guard and is very frustrated at this market now if they're trying to short this NASDAQ, because we could very well continue to rally, continue to move. I would wait for a pullback. If I was going to trade to the short side, I have a hard time trading a full position size to the short side. Maybe a smaller position. I could see a smaller position if you're looking for this market to close the gap, or at least attempt to close the gap. That's possible. That's valid. Let's see how far we're up. Well, I'm sure we're up more than 0.5%. We're almost to that 0.5% mark. I'd like to see us get to a 0.5% first. We're at 0.42. So where's 0.5%? It's typically what I like to see. 1/2 is going to be right there in the 980s. Does that line up with anything over here? We have a little bit of resistance. Maybe this can be something if we can get up to these 980s, upper 970s. We're almost there. We're 10 points away. Maybe there's a decent short if we could get up into this zone. Maybe I'll consider that if we get up there. Maybe I'll consider to take a short if we get up there. Or are we going to turn around now? I don't know if I'm brave enough to get into a short right here, even though we are consolidating. So maybe it's a decent time. Oh, man, this is just I'm too hesitant. So I think I'm going to pass, even though this is kind of looking like a decent opportunity for a small size. We could even jump down to like a micros, maybe something really, really small and see if we can have some type of a pullback on this. But I'm not seeing anything else. I mean, nothing is really telling me to short it until we get up to these, get up into these 970s, 980s for a better risk reward. Yeah, not seeing anything too attractive. I think it's just, I'm going to wait. I'm going to be patient and wait and see where we go, see how it is, see if we can get up to those upper 70s, maybe 970s, 980s. I'm going to wait and see. Let's move on. Let's take a look at crude oil. What's crude oil doing? Crude oil's not, let's do an hourly chart. Not doing much. Crude oil looks like we gapped up and we're kind of consolidating. I think we're at a level in crude similar to the NASDAQ, right? Where, maybe we've been trading in this range. If we could break back below, maybe back down into this range, maybe we could see a rotation back down towards $70 a barrel. If not, we can easily run up and see if we could test 72.50. 72.50 is valid, maybe looking for some level of support. But yeah, as of right now, I think we're just in the middle of this. We're in the middle of this November range, the beginning of November. So I have been staying away from crude to a specific point to where it's been choppy. We just finished rollover, and this market hasn't been too clean and easy to trade. I know there was a few opportunities to buy the dip. If you guys remember, I was on with Coach Jay. I was looking to buy because it's very similar to the NASDAQ. We're in a channel. It's been buy the dip. Those have been good opportunities. Selling is a little bit harder. I mean, we did break out of, this, channel possibly. If we do get back into it, maybe a play for $70 a barrel. If not, up here to the 72.50s. So I'm going to just pass on crude. And then Nikkei. Oh, Nikkei. Nikkei is such an interesting market. So if you guys remember, what was it, Wednesday or Thursday, where I was in a long, and sure enough, we broke out. So this is the breakout I would have loved to happen the other night. I mean, look at that move. That is a big move. This was the breakout play I was kind of wanting to get in the other night, and that's okay. I was in a decent position. I think it was Thursday night. So I was in a decent position Thursday night. If everybody could remember, I was long. We failed to break out. I ran the poll in the chat as a little fun thing, and I closed out. It was a great trade. It hit my take profit, but this is what the Nikkei can do, right? You can see this nice, beautiful breakout, which, I was in a decent position. It just didn't happen when I was in it, and sure enough, I'm just looking at this. It looks like, just going through this. Yeah, I mean, it's just straight up for the Nikkei. We went right to the next area, which you can see over here is just right around 39,100. Resistance. I mean, this is a pretty big zone, right? There's a lot of resistance in this zone. So a pullback would make sense. Support, resistance. That's a decent zone, right here around 39,100. And as you guys could see, pretty straightforward, we are having a decent pullback. So what I like to do is I'll zoom in, and that's not too bad of an opportunity right there. If we're trying to get pullbacks, right? We opened up. We were up 1.25%. And we just had a decent pullback. So, really interested. I'm really interested. If we could get to 800s, if we could get to like 880s, I might take a long. I might get into a long here in crude, or not crude, the Nikkei, which is the Japanese market. If we see these 880s come into play, that's a pretty big ask, to be honest. Yeah, if we could see this level come into play, I would probably be getting into a long. You can see there's a lot of support here. There's a lot of support here throughout November. This is another nice area, resistance support in this 38,800s. So if we can pull back to that level, then possibly a long opportunity. A little bit tempted to get in long now, but it doesn't give me enough room for a decent risk reward because I'm thinking about risk management first. And so that being said, if I was to get in long now, say right here, right now, where would my risk be, right? My risk would need to be under a pivot. So it'd be under, like, say, either this point or this point. And yeah, I'm risking, it looks like 100 right there, 20 ticks. And then my take profit's going to be up here. So that's about a 1-to-1 risk reward. But what I want to see is if we could get down, if Nikkei can get down here towards 880s, like the 880s, then that will allow me to have a bit of a better risk reward. Maybe I could even tighten it up just depending on where my stop loss is. And then I could possibly get a nice 3-to-1 or a 4-to-1 trade. Now, there's a cost. There's a cost of waiting for the market to see if we could give you what you want. And that's what everyone probably sees happen to me relatively often at night, right? Is the market goes without me. So we will see. We'll watch this. Don't worry. We'll watch it. Come back to it. Let's talk about gold. Let's take a look at the hourly on gold. Oh, what was this? That was a move. That was a move at the open on gold. That was quite the move. Is that correct, everybody? Is this accurate? That's a big move on gold. Oh, it's in rollover. Okay, that makes sense, Coach Hoop. When's rollover finish? Is it this week? Yeah, we're still in the Z contract. Okay. That makes it even more hesitant. Thanks, Coach Hoop. That's part of having a community, right? Is things don't really surprise you as much because you have people that trade these markets and that might have a different understanding than you do. So let me look. It just started going through. Yes. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't touch this market. You can see that this was major support, major resistance, and maybe this is a major resistance. We ran some liquidity up here at the 720s, and we've sold back down towards these 2690s. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a sell-off down towards the 60s and 70s, maybe down here towards this consolidation area. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that. It just started. Yeah, so I'm not as bullish on gold. I would actually like to see a decent pullback, really. We're hovering right around 2,700, and kind of the similar story, right? We're kind of in the middle of this move. We're in the middle of this, if you want to say, area. And same thing over here on the left-hand side is we're in the middle of this. And so possibly looking to buy the lows, sell the highs in the consolidating market. That's this basic strategy. Like to get into with the trend. So yeah, maybe looking for longs near the lows of this. If not, see if we could get into longs around the 2670s. That's what I'm going to be watching. Until then, we're in the middle. Not going to mess with it. That being said, let's take a look at NASDAQ. I'm going to go back on NASDAQ. Let's take a look at the 5-minute chart. Still just consolidating here. Lots of consolidation. Not too much in terms of movements tonight. It is Sunday night, everybody. Sunday night, a shortened week. Don't be too excited to be getting into positions, right? Trading is optional. You don't have to trade. You could always just be patient, wait for good setups, wait for good opportunities. It's always better to have that peace of mind instead of just going through and trying to force trades on a Sunday night, on a shortened week. And then when the markets are not moving as much, I mean, if you have a setup and it shows, sure, take it. But understand that it's a Sunday night, it's a shortened week, and we just have to make sure that we understand that. A lot of people are on vacation. Yeah, definitely. I'd be taking, this is a very good week that a lot of people just take the entire week off. Is this a sign for a bitty long? I mean, if we can get some type of a pullback here in the NASDAQ, this gap is something. Like this gap is, it's not a little thing. This is a decent sized move where, what is that, 30, 60 points. Like this is a 60-point gap up. I mean, even from there, we've moved basically almost 100 points. And so there is some volatility. So there's always going to be opportunity. There's opportunity overnight. I talk about it all the time. That's why I like to look at these higher time frames. And yeah, higher time frames are usually the better option for slow markets. Going through here, you know what I think? I think the overnight trade setup for me, is going to be, I want to do this on a demo account. Here's an example. I'm going to do this. I'm going to put a sell stop. I'm going to do a sell stop. So I'm going to short this market if we break below 54. And my take profit, I think my take profit's going to be this gap fill. I think what I'm going to do is going to have this as my take profit. And the reason why I have my take profit at 905 is because that was this little point, right? We're not exactly filling the gap. It looks like it's about halfway, which I'll be happy with halfway. And then my stop loss is going to be right above like this 81 level. So that is that's going to be my overnight trade. I'm liking this. Maybe there's an argument to put my stop loss above, 89, because there's a pivot here on the way down. We had this pivot. So maybe something like this, a nice 1-to-1 risk reward for an overnight trade. So I'd be risking, yeah, that's to me seems like a good risk reward. I'm actually going to do it on micros. I'm going to do this on micros. Let's go ahead and do this on some micros. And it looks like we just broke. So I'm going to go ahead and
order
get
filled
into one, and then we'll calculate the risk reward. So I'm going to do 89 on my stop loss. I'm going to do, where's that area? So I'm going to do right there. That's about fine by me. This is a 5-minute chart. So it's a little over a 1-to-1 risk reward. It looks like a 1.5-to-1 actually, 1.5-to-1. And I am fine.
Order filled.
Risking about $300. So I'm going to get to where my risk is $300.
Order filled.
And I'm going to let this run overnight.
Order filled.
375.
Order filled.
There you go. That's the trade I'm looking for. Right there. So let me walk through my process of why is my take profit there and why is my stop loss. This is just a demo one. This is a good example of how I like to leave my overnight trade setups. So number one, why am I getting in here? So based off a higher time frame, right? So we have a 5-minute. We could even zoom out to an hourly chart, right? And if we look over here on the left-hand side, my stop loss is going to be above that pivot. Remember what we've seen on the 5-minute chart? So if we zoom out and we look at that 5-minute chart again on that sell-off, where is it? So that is why my stop loss is where it's at. Okay, so if I zoom in, this is why my stop loss is where it's at. So there's a lot of support and resistance around this level, right? There's nice resistance. So it's a nice pivot point. And I'm fine with my stop loss being there. Some traders might want it to be a little bit wider, like just to prevent like someone like thinking that same thing, run some stops, then turn around. But I'm okay. I'm okay with having my stop loss. That's right about where I want it. And then if I zoom in to the right, why is my take profit where it's at? Well, similar thing, right? There's going to be a lot of traders who might have their stop losses right here at 908. And if we do start to sell off and we run this, then easily we could, sell off, maybe cover a portion of this gap and then turn around and rally. And I also like that, this was a pivot high from the 21st. And so, sure, maybe there's a reason we could have the take profit all the way down here. or we could have it, you know, right at the end bottom of this candle. But I think I'm fine with just below. You know, just imagine if you're long, where would you have your stop loss? To me, that's kind of where my stop loss would be if I was long. And you know, this one was a simple entry. Where like why did I get into a short? Well, it was hard to be short, but we started to see consolidation and broke down. Of course, I probably would have liked to be in this a little bit earlier, but this one's fine. This one's fine. I'm going to switch this to one chart. Yeah, and here we go. Yeah, so I'm going to let this one run overnight. We'll see where we end up in the morning. I'm going to be on fast markets with the team. So fast markets, I could review this trade to see where we end up. So this is a decent risk reward. So the more I looked at, so yeah, it's closer to a 2-to-1, right? Just over it, maybe like a 1 3/4 to 1. I don't know. Do the math. It's closer to a 2-to-1 than it is a 1-to-1. Decent risk reward. I like it. I did this just in time. I mean, it worked so far. So far, so good on this one. So keep an eye on that one. I'm going to go back to the 2 charts, and then you can keep an eye on this one. Let's move this. That way I could answer some questions. We could get to some questions. You guys could watch that and see how this trade plays out. Other than that, I'm curious on the Nikkei. Yeah, see, that's why I was a little bit hesitant on buying the Nikkei over here. Buying the Nikkei. Man, what a bit of a sell-off. Let's see. That was the area I was wanting to get in. Let's see if it will give it to me now. So I'm going to keep that. I'm going to just keep an eye. I'm short the NASDAQ at 957. I'm going to get into this trade on the Nikkei. All right, let's see. We're at 865. And I'm going to get in. This will give me a decent way to limit risk. 800 for that. Is there a decent pivot? So I'm just looking for areas where I can limit risk. So I'm in long 1 because, you know, the market finally gave me what I was looking for. Looking to see if we could have a rotation. Maybe we could get back up to, and I'm talking overnight trades. These are trades that I'm going to leave overnight. That's a little bit better than a 1-to-1. Most likely I'm going to have my risk probably about right there. So getting about a 3-to-1 risk reward. A 3-to-1 risk reward on this one. But I want to see a pivot. I want to see a pivot. So I think I'm going to wait until I move my stop loss. I want to see a pivot and a break back above maybe 890. Well, we're getting it now. We're getting it now. So let's just go ahead and tighten that up. See if I can move my stop loss up a little bit sooner. Just watching, because this is something I want to leave overnight. And there's a lot of resistance right there. So this is why I have my stop loss. Originally I was thinking about that, but I think this is fine. I think this is fine. Okay, well, I'm going to watch this. I'm going to manage it. Yeah, let's get to some questions. Let's get to some questions while we watch this play out. Anyway, yeah, we'll see. If we do start to rally up, then for example, this is going to be a scenario, right? If we do start to bounce, and if we get back up above 38,900, then I'm going to immediately move my stop loss to under that pivot right there. That's the pivot. So if we can get back above 900, then yeah, I think I'm just going to move my stop loss below there, risk like $50, and then go to sleep with, what is this, a 10-to-1 risk reward? But right now it's 3-to-1 so far. We'll see if it's going to give us another opportunity to limit risk. So anyway, let's get to some questions. Dakota, do you usually keep your refresh rate at fast? are you referring to my refresh rate? Are you referring to what is this in here? Oh, fast. Yeah, I keep it on fast. I think that's what you're talking about, right? Am I wrong? Let me know. Do you use volume? No, I do not. Oh man, I'm excited for Thanksgiving. Actually, I've been craving turkey and pumpkin pie and all that, all the holiday foods. What do you look for on a 100-tick chart? Yeah, I mean, a smaller chart, it's more zoomed in, right? Just think. I like to think of charts. You probably have heard this before. As Google Maps, right? You higher time frames, you kind of see an overall view, and it might maybe a bit of a bigger picture. And then when you zoom in, you could see, I like to see these smaller pivot points, like these smaller support and resistance that I could say, okay, that's a decent area of support. So if I'm going to have my stop loss, maybe I want my stop loss below that area of support. So, and then things like this, right? Like why have my stop loss there where I could see, some resistance. Like this is a decent level of support and resistance. It's almost like a zone, right? Like you can imagine this as a zone. And so if we do get this nice pullback, which we've seen, then this has, it's not 100%, it's not guaranteed, right? I tell everyone all the time, I lose about 70% of my trades. This could easily be one of the 70%. I lose 7 out of 10 of my trades. This odds are this is going to be a loser. But if this is going to reverse, if this market's going to reverse, then I don't mind taking that risk. If it's going to reverse, maybe there's a decent chance that we reverse here at this level. Like this is a level of support and resistance. Now, sure, the market could come down, sell off, and then it reverse off this zone, which is fine. If we do reverse off this, for me, the risk is basically doubled, right? Risking 350 versus risking 800. And I'm not willing to double my risk because if I do, my take profit's still going to be about the same. And I would rather take a 2-to-1, 3-to-1 risk reward rather than a 1-to-1 risk reward, because I'm kind of going against what the market's doing at this exact moment. Sure, this time frame saying it's going up, but now we're starting to go down. We're starting to sell off a little bit, and I am perfectly fine with a 3-to-1 risk reward on this one. Let's take a look. We'll jump over. We can jump right back over to the NASDAQ. See what the NASDAQ's doing. NASDAQ not really doing much. So we'll keep an eye on the Nikkei, and I'll get to some more questions here. Keep an eye on this Nikkei, and I will get to questions. Maybe use volume. Is your most common RR 3-to-1? Yeah, David. So it's not exact, right? So I don't look for the exact 3-to-1 risk rewards. So I don't come through and say, okay, I need exactly 3-to-1. No, I look for areas of support and resistance, very basic technical analysis where I could have a better risk reward, right? Because it's not exact. I mean, there's no way this is an exact risk reward, but to me, it's just like support and resistance, right? It's like I'm looking for a risk reward where I could get 2-to-1, 3-to-1, depending on what trade setup. Is this a breakout trade? Is this just a buy the pullback? This one is a buy the pullback. If it's kind of like we're pulling back and I'm looking for this market to rally, right? And if this does become a pullback and I'm getting in and I'm not getting in waiting for confirmation is going to be, maybe after a 3-bar reversal, after some type of, reversal signal. I'm just getting in because this is a level that I believe can act as an area of support. So I'm getting in without any confirmation, which is lower probabilities. But in order for me to take those lower probabilities, I need to be getting a higher risk reward. Typically, it's around 3-to-1. Depending on the situation, I'm okay with a 2-to-1. Usually on these type of trades. Breakout trades, I'm okay with a 1-to-1. Higher probability trades, I'm okay with a 1-to-1. It's all about having a positive expectancy. So having a positive expectancy is more important than any risk reward and any win trade percentage. Where is the MNQ trade? The MNQ trade's a trade I just put on in a simulated account. So if I pull up a demo account, we could see the MNQ trade, right? This is just come on, is it going to let me? Let's see. I think I did it. I'll log out and show you. Watch. We'll log out. We'll log back in. We'll go through here. And we could go to MNQ. And this is the overnight trade I have on a simulated account. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not really confident. I don't like shorting the market. But it is a valid trade setup. It's one where I'm getting a better than a one-to-one risk reward. But yeah, focus is live. Focus is live. So we'll see how this one plays out. So far, so good. So far, so good. We'll see. Okay, back to the questions. That's a little confusing. I'm trying to understand. You shorted NQ, but NQ moves similar to the Nikkei or no? Yeah, you could say that they're similar. But I don't base my trade because another market's doing something. I'm always a believer that, if my trade is setting up right here in the Nikkei, then this is my trade setup. I'm trading the market that I'm in. I'm not letting, if gold moves or if another market starts to move, that doesn't affect my trade. I focus on the market that I'm trading. I'm reacting based off the market I'm trading, because that's always the question, right? Is the NASDAQ going to be leading? Is the ES going to be leading? Is the Nikkei going to be leading? I don't know, right? But I'm not short the NASDAQ on my live account. I'm in my live account. No, I'm not going to short the NASDAQ. Why not wait on getting confirmation before getting into the Nikkei? Simple. Risk reward, and I like this area of resistance. That's it. If I wait for confirmation, then I would have to sacrifice a little bit, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? If I'm waiting for confirmation, that confirmation is not going to be until after we get back probably, 890, 38, 890, which is okay, but then my risk reward is going to be upside down. And I'm honestly, guys and everyone, I'm perfectly fine having a lower probability with a better risk reward. I like better risk reward. It's just my preference. It's what I know. I have a better expectancy, but there's nothing wrong with waiting for confirmation. Sometimes I do wish I would have waited for confirmation, right? Because if I get in and it just keeps selling off, I'm like, well, if I waited for confirmation, I would have never taken that trade, and I wouldn't have lost that trade, or I would have had a better trade. So there's pros and cons to everything, right? You can't have both. Isn't it the goal for everyone to be trading live? Yeah. The goal for everybody is to be trading a live account. Whether you open up your personal and you trade your personal, or you are trading at a prop firm, right? The ultimate goal is to become a better trader, be a consistent trader, and then trade live and not depend on anybody, right? To be honest, if I could just have a personal goal for every single trader that I work with, that's what it would be. I'd say, everybody, your main number one goal as a trader is to get to where you have your personal account and you're trading consistently, and you have the confidence to trade consistently. Yeah, that would be the goal. No, the ultimate goal is to get money. Power, I would disagree with that, because there's people who win the lottery and then, in the following year, they're in a worse situation than they was, that they wish they didn't win the lottery. So the ultimate goal is to become a better trader and have consistent income, right? It's about consistency. But they go hand in hand, right? They go hand in hand. If you have that consistency, the money will follow. that is true. Yeah, money comes with mastering process. Yeah. Historically, how does the NASDAQ behave during Thanksgiving week? Low volume. I don't know historically how the NASDAQ behaves. It's a shortened week. It's holiday season. NASDAQ could do whatever the heck it wants, but typically it's low volume. It really is low volume. And so I would just expect low volume, maybe a lot more choppiness than normal, and just understand that there's going to be a lot of people on vacation, and you don't need to trade. Usually goes up. So it's Rad saying it usually goes up during Thanksgiving. There's Cami Capital. I went and had a Friendsgiving this weekend, and one of my closer friends and his family, they're going to be flying to Wellington, New Zealand to go see family. That's one place I need to go see. I told him I'm going to go out there one day, visit family, go. It's a beautiful place, some of the pictures that he showed me. Would you add once the 5-minute confirmation? Yeah, there's a valid reason to add. There's a valid reason to add on this. This is, if you guys seen that trade Thursday. So Thursday, I was long the Nikkei, which is the market that you guys are seeing here. And the way I built a position was similar, right? I would add as this market is going in my direction. The last trade I was in, I was a lot more confident in, right? This is not as confident of a trade. So if we're looking about where I was at last Thursday, and if we're going to look from a higher time frame chart, I was getting in long right there, right here around like 38 200s, 38 upper 180s. So I was getting in long here, and I was pretty confident about this trade. Was at a stronger, right? This was a very much stronger area of resistance. And my target was going to be, as the market came up and tested this resistance zone. So that was the trade last time, which I was fine with risking more. And I was fine with building a position. This one, I'm not as confident. Yes, there's an area of support and resistance here, which looks like there's a nice pivot right near my stop loss. So maybe that could be a decent where I could just one tick. Yeah, that makes sense. So I'm not as confident. It's not as great of a setup. It's still a good setup, but there's not as big of a support and resistance. There's not too great. I mean, sure, it could work out, right? Like we can rally up and I could add to this position, but it's Sunday night. It's a shortened week. So I'm going to kind of lower my expectations and base hits, just base hits. I'm going to be on fast markets tomorrow morning. It's the start of the week. And yeah, not too crazy, not going to be going too crazy. And plus I'm in the middle of a stream. So my focus is not 100% where it needs to be. You give me well, whatever the Cami Capital special is. Yeah, I'm actually into, I don't know if I've said this on stream, but I'm actually into prospecting. I was into prospecting with family when I was little, and I don't know how New Zealand is, but man, there's just backpacking, going outdoors is something I'd love to do in New Zealand. Take a peep at a Dow. I don't look at the Dow. I'm sorry, Buck. Let's see. If we could break back above 900, if we could get above 900, 38,900, then I'm going to move my stop loss. I'm going to move my stop loss to like 170, right there, 825. And then I'll go to bed with a much better risk reward on this. Much better risk reward if we could break above that. Where do I live? Come on, guys. Where do I live? I'm based out of Utah. Topstep here is based out of Chicago. What's your profit on the Nikkei? I mean, you guys can see it right here, RM. Here's my trade. When you trail your stop, would you ever move it back to your original placement? My answer is no. So if I do, and let's say we do start to rally up. So this is an interesting question. Okay, is when I decide to move my stop loss, I move my stop loss for a reason. Like there has to be a reason where I can repeat it and I can be consistent and I could look back and say, okay, I moved my stop loss because of XYZ. So if the Nikkei does go up and we start to rally and break through 38,900, then my reason to move my stop loss is because we have now made a higher low, right? Here's a higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. And this is now a pivot. So this is an area of support for me. And so once I move my stop loss below that level of support, I will not move my stop loss back to the original. So for me, I will move my stop loss up, but very, very rarely do I move my stop loss back down. Yeah, sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm going to move this here, and then I'll just look at it for a little bit, and then maybe I add to a position, and then I would make, okay, you know what? That was wrong. I made a mistake. I should have never moved my stop loss. Like right now, it's too early for me to move my stop loss. And so, yeah, to me, it's not valid yet, even though, yeah, maybe we do start to sell off, and I'm just like, dang, I wish I would have. Everyone wishes they would have made, lost less money, but still, it is not valid for me to move my stop loss yet. It's getting close, right? Because this is becoming, there's some buyers stepping in here. It's now becoming support. The market, maybe is going to do something like this, where we consolidate, and then we make another move down. Where is this consolidation, and then we make another move down? Possibly, sure. If it does that, I lose $375. If what I'm looking for is a consolidation and a break and a move back up. So, and that's just based off of what the current trend is, because you could see this is the trend ever since we opened. We've been rallying, right? Rally. We had one pullback. This is a deeper pullback, and yeah, one contract is about where this trade is at. Turning in a little late today. Dang, you missed the gold short at 27.06. What's gold doing? Yeah, gold's in a it's in rollover. So as Coach Soup pointed out, so I'm just not going to touch gold. Still hard for me to trade crude oil as well, other than a possible short back down into this consolidation zone, right? So looking for, and still crude is still in the middle of this consolidation that we've seen since the end of October. And so if we're looking more at the immediate, then looking for an area to find a buying opportunity. I'd rather wait to be a buying opportunity than to sell it up here. Like that's just me, and that's my preference is waiting for a better buying opportunity, because this market is technically trending higher. So waiting for a buying opportunity rather than trying to sell it and looking for a pullback. That's my preference. Let's see. NQ, not really doing much. NASDAQ has not really moved. So yeah, tomorrow morning, I wouldn't be surprised if when I wake up for fast markets, I would not be surprised if we filled some of this gap. Here is a game plan that I am looking for going tomorrow morning. So I'm going to go to bed right after this. And if I wake up and the NASDAQ has not filled this gap, and maybe overnight we've just kind of maybe, went sideways like this, I don't know. This comes into play for me. Like this is definitely something more than like the majority of traders that trade the NASDAQ are probably watching this, right? So there's going to be a lot of traders watching the NASDAQ. There's going to be a lot of traders watching this gap thinking the same thing. Like, okay, are we going to fill this gap? If we do, there could be an opportunity that, for this, right? Whether it's going to be, there's a lot of ways that a gap can bring in opportunity, right? Whether that's a short and you profit, as we start to fill the gap, or maybe a reversal. There's also an opportunity on a reversal. Like, what if the NASDAQ comes down here during the London session and you wake up and the market's down here? Then, yeah, there could be an opportunity for a reversal for a long on a bounce, on a trade like this, right? Where the NASDAQ comes down, it fills the gap, and we rally off of it. Does it have to be there? No. If the market does start to reverse off of like a run of liquidity, just some type of signal, then it's a valid trade where, maybe this opportunity is there. Though there will be opportunity if we can fill this gap, if we could have some type of, move down towards it. That's basically, I'm not sure. That's for December to January. Yeah, Dakota, can you show new lockout features? New lockout features. I haven't seen an email on it yet. Has the email came out? Did I miss it? I seen MP teasing it on Twitter or on X. Some new lockout features that's going to be coming, which are absolutely awesome. But I have not seen the email yet, unless I missed it. You guys get the email? Is there an email out yet? Like I said, nothing is official until an email is officially sent out. It's already working. Oh, okay. Let's take a look then. All right. I'm not going to do it in my live account because I'm not going to be up for trolling it. Let's see. Let's take a look. I'm going to do it in a demo account. So if we go to here. Oh, look at that. No email. Okay. I mean, there we go. Usually I don't trust chat. I would rather trust an email than chat. Yeah, you know. But let's take a look at this. Did Nick or did they go over it earlier? Has anybody went over this yet in front of you guys? In front of everybody. It's the custom one, game changer. This is amazing. There's more options in the actual settings. No. Well, let's look at this. Yeah. Let's take. I'm sure this is amazing. This is actually really cool. All right, let's look. Oh, where did we go? Where did it go? Let's test this out. Actually, why not? I'm short 6. So if we're going to lock ourselves out by clicking S, you lock out the sim. Once locked out, any open position or working orders will make cleanses. This action was irreversible. Select from the following options: 15-minute, 30-minute, 1 hour, all day, and custom. Okay. Lockout until this time. Wow, this is pretty cool. This is game changing. So I could lock myself out for a custom amount of time. Quick options. Wow. I like it. That's pretty cool. That's cool. I like it. Guys, Topstep X is not even a year old. Topstep X is not even a year old. Can you believe that? Features like this are not even... wow. Yeah. Game changer. That's for sure. All right, now Nikkei is starting to rally. Nikkei is starting to move up. And so you can see over here on the 5-minute chart. See, now that's becoming a pivot. I am okay with moving my stop loss. Okay, once I move this stop loss, I will not move it back. So once I move this stop loss, I am now not going to move it back. I am now officially going to be going to bed. I'm going to leave this trade run, and I'm going to be in a, what is this, an 8-to-1 risk reward. So this is now an 8-to-1 risk reward for me. I'm going to let this trade go, and that is my overnight trade. I'm going to continue to watch this because we're in slow markets for the next 4 minutes. And maybe I take a look at this trade before I go to bed one last time and make a decision. But yeah, worst case scenario now is I lose $1.70. Quinn, it's a 5-to-1. Okay, yeah. Well, my math sucks. 5-to-1 then. Yeah, 5-1. That's my math was way off. Topstep make a big move on TopstepTV. Congratulations. Yeah, I mean, this feature is so amazing, and a lot of traders don't realize Topstep X is less than a year old. I mean, it was launched. Topstep launched this in the spring, and it's 6 months. It's only been 6 months, right? 6-7 months old, and there's already features like this. It's absolutely amazing, and it's built by traders for traders, right? You go to the support, and we're able to go through and upvote and suggest different items for this platform. So, like, look at that. Market replay data. It's planned. Improvements to the trade copier planned, more trader. And so you could see which ones are finished, which ones are planned. And you could come in, you could upvote them, you could make comments in them. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. Now, of course, there's other platforms that can be like some similar features here, some similar features there. But man, it's built by traders for traders, and it's less than a year old. It's pretty crazy, if you ask me. So that's cool. This is an amazing feature, and it's going to help a lot of traders. This is going to help a lot of traders. This is going to help me too, because sometimes it's nice to just, hey, I'm going to go take a lunch break, lock myself out for an hour, so I'm not tempted to, place a trade on my phone. So I'm not tempted to this. Maybe I take a loss and I get frustrated, and I just need to lock myself out for 15 minutes. Lock yourself out for 15 minutes. Go take a break. Rips, like he said, a shot clock. This is basically the shot clock as well, right? Where you could lock yourself out for a little bit of time and come back and you could start trading it. Or, if you want to lock yourself out for an hour or some type of custom. And this is nice, where it's like, I should not trade tonight. Maybe I'm not feeling good. Maybe I'm sick. Maybe I have a headache. I could lock myself out until the next morning, or until maybe I have to take some medicine. When I got my wisdom teeth taken out. So this little features like this that keep getting added to a platform that we are all able to trade on. It's mind blowing. It's great. It's like a penalty box. Yeah, put yourself in the penalty box. You could also lock yourself out by the session name. Is that here? Am I missing something? Yeah, I mean that's awesome. Check Bitcoin. Yeah, we haven't talked about Bitcoin tonight. What's Bitcoin doing? That's tempting to get long. That's a tempting dip to buy. Yeah, that's very tempting to buy that. Yeah, that is very tempting to buy the dip here on Bitcoin. But I'm not that great with trading Bitcoin. You have to go to settings for lockout session. Okay, let's take a look at that. So I'm going to keep watching this Nikkei. Look at this. We're going up so far. Okay, everyone, you're going to teach me settings, set lockout, personal lockout. Is this here? Set lockout. Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. Wow. That's awesome. Oh, I like how it does the Sydney session. I like this. Tokyo 6-3, London 11, New York session, and then you could do the customized one. Okay. Oh, this is clean. This is really clean. There you go, everyone. You heard it and seen it here first. New York is from 7 to 4, London 2 to 11, and it's all in Central Time too. Tokyo from 6 to 3. Sometimes I feel like clicking this one. This is one sometimes. Sydney session. Okay. Or a custom time. I like the custom. I like, hey, if these don't fit your needs, just put a custom. Because I think I might do the custom one. I would be more for using the custom because Sometimes I don't want to trade the London session. I would rather be closed out until the New York session open. So maybe I could just go until like 7. Oh, you know what? This would be cool. Yeah, I'll have to play around with this instead of, because here's one of my bad habits is I sometimes trade at the open, the New York session open, and sometimes it's better to not trade until after like 15 minutes, sometimes an hour after the New York session open, and let things settle down. So I could see myself doing something like the New York session, like an hour after the New York session open. So if the New York session opens at, let's say, 8:30, then maybe it's better for me to be like, you know what, an hour after the New York session opens, then I'll be able to trade. So, maybe little details like that could be very beneficial. Or I'm going to do it tomorrow. We'll see how it works out, where I could just come in and, say as soon as the opening bell starts, as soon as the New York session opens, I could come in here and I could say, okay, I'm not going to trade until 30 minutes after the New York session opens, and see how it works. I like it. Very nice feature. Okay, a little 3 minutes over, but that's okay. I like that feature. I love it. Tomorrow I'm going to be on for the New York session. Always fun. It's great. Remember, it's Sunday. You don't have to trade. Trading is always optional, and sometimes it's better just to relax, take the day off. It's a shortened week. You don't have to trade. Maybe instead of trading, you could just tune into TopstepTV. Have the fun conversation without the need to stress about trading. You have that beautiful new lockout feature now. Until then, I'll see everybody bright and early tomorrow morning or tomorrow night with slow markets. Take care, everybody. Enjoy.